Hello everyone. I hope you are doing amazing. During this video, I have in my notes few of the questions that you guys have asked me privately were the ones that are with me having the sessions, and sometimes that you message me privately about things that happened to you, about questions about spirituality. So let me just ask you higher self and each of your guys to become one voice through my voice, my ears, whatever I know, whatever I could channel through. It could be healing, it could be wisdom, and I would like to put Gretel aside so I can be a clear channel for unconditional love and pure source consciousness. So I have few notes here, and the first is boundaries. Boundaries goes in both ways. People deserve us not to step on top into its own space, equally that we deserve not to be forced to do things to please others. And I found a quote from Caroline Myss that says, I don't want to force anyone to do anything to please me, right? And that begins because the more knowledgeable we go into spirit and energy and healing and the mysteries and the wonders of the universe, sometimes we can develop a sense of auto-correction for everyone and for us. A tendency to seek for the perfection. So anything that we see quickly has to be clear, and we don't allow ourselves to understand why that distortion appears, why that trigger is being present in that moment for whatever reason that it is. And I'm gonna name a few examples. Okay, boundaries, it is the intentions that I set to my energy to coexist in relationship with the energy of everyone else. If I don't set intentions, whoever has the most charged pull would pull me into its own. If I said something that certain political party is best than the other one, for example, that it's my truth, and that could differ from someone else's truth. So the truths vary. Because I belong to the red party, it doesn't mean that the blue party is wrong. Because if I was born in the blue party or religion or philosophy, maybe that would be the norm for me. So I have a story to share. This is a story for someone who is a choreographer in Europe, and I don't remember in which country this choreographer is, but her name is Lillian Gilligan, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So she's a choreographer. She did the Cats, like the Broadway. Well, it's a theatrical show, right? And she is very famous. And in one interview that someone was done to her, that person was asked how it is that she figured out she was such a good dancer, and that was her authenticity and magic to each chair, right? So she said that she was moving all the time when she was little, and back in her, I think, 1940s or 1950s, THDD and ADDD and all of that stuff hasn't been invented yet. So doctors had no way to put you into a spectrum where you are out of the norm or where you are labeled as a broken person and try to medicate it like it will happen in this time. In her case, her mom took her to the doctor, and the doctor did a lot of questions to the mom. And Lillian, when she was little, perhaps she was 8 or 7 or 9, I have no idea, but she said that she was moving all the time like a hyperactive kid, right? So the doctor and the mom step out of the room, and the doctor put music and they leave. When that happened, they observe from a window, I guess, that it was outside of the room, and just watch her. And she began moving and trying to make the movement and the sounds, and they waited for a few months, and then when they came into the room, the doctor said to the mom, your daughter do not have a problem. The only advice I have for you it is that she is a dancer. In her personality and authenticity, she needs to move to think, right? If that would have happened to my son was hyper, and it was annoying at moments because he was always like that, and he still is. When he listening to music, he walks into the living room and he's like moving like that, and sometimes I'm like, are you okay? And then he said, Mom, I'm thinking, I need to move to think. So I let him be, but I never medicated him. What I did, I purchased a lot of puzzles and things for him to build. We went to therapy for a year and a half, and the psychologist instructed me how to work with him so he would have things to do all the time and he could be busy. Now he's studying music and he draws, so he's obviously very artistic like me, and I'm moving all the time. But in his personality, he's a little bit more intense perhaps than me. Okay, where I am going to this. Every situation, every truth is according to what happened and what it appears to be the norm. If the norm will be that kids will be allowed to be in movement and play instead of being seated in schools, perhaps they will have a different development. Perhaps they wouldn't have depression, and there wouldn't be a lot of adults with neurotic disorder and bipolar and medicated for depression and lots of things, because sometimes we don't allow whatever happened to unfold as it's meant to be, and we try to control it. That's different than boundaries. Boundaries is like going to a restaurant and saying, what do you prefer to eat? Not setting boundaries is sitting in a restaurant waiting for the server to bring you whatever the waiter he wants. That's a different story. But allowing things to be is giving to yourself and your feelings and your thinking the emotion to sink in with your anger, with your sadness, with your anxiety, so you understand why it's happening, regardless of who have triggered that. Because when we quickly rush into clear that, it's healed, but sometimes isn't healed from the ego, and then the ego keeps thinking in that distortion, and it will recreate it again. And you will see that when something happens to you over and over with different scenarios, and it's the same dynamic. So I have shows when I started the Way Short class a few months after, not to ask anyone else for advice. I will stick to my choices and I will make them work for me. I will stop trying to seek the perfection of me and looking for every possible outcome to be wrong, and to have the experience by itself, allowing it to unfold as it's meant to be, trying to gather the lesson, the knowledge about what it has happened, and being patient about it. And sometimes it isn't easy, but when I'm present, when I'm able to listen to myself and the different voices that I have, I will be able to understand what's going on, and that is going to be the doorway to open the subconscious mind, the unconscious, and then rectify from there into all aspects of me. And when we do that, healing is complete, and that aspect no longer need to come. And then we have a shift of perception. And then maybe a person will say something like, I used to have a lot of narcissistic partners, but I shift and I change, and now the partner that I have, it's a perfect balance with who I am and with who it is, and we create such a wonderful team. Does that make sense? We can acknowledge our darkness, we can acknowledge our pain, our traumas, whatever doesn't feel good, but still see the area of opportunity for growth. And this is what karma it is. Karma to me, and I can only share from my own perspective, it isn't a punishment. It isn't because my ancestors fucked me up. It isn't because I made a mistake being in the wrong planet. It is because even though we all have things that we want to experience, there is a greater good in everything that happens, even in the appear bad mistakes. And when we're able to understand that great good, if we're able to, because sometimes that's aligned with the infinity, and who can understand the infinity? Perhaps God, but in human form, maybe that will require to be fully in alignment, and I'm not sure if that can happen. That is a question that I was hearing in a conference on Buddhism. Lots of monks and spiritual Buddhism teachers that were debating if through enlightenment can be really a shift in human form. And at the end of the 2 hours and a half that I was listening to the workshop, none of them were able to agree into if it was possible or not. But that's another story. I'm gonna drink a little bit of water. Boundaries, it is creating containers for the energy to commingle and flow into the areas that you are selecting through your own free will. And this is another question that I have. Do we have destiny or do we have free will? Well, both. I do have free will, and my free will, it is in my destiny that I preset that I can change all the time. I choose how to go through. Yes, it's like if I need to take a shower every day or almost every day, I choose when to do it and how to do it and how long to do it. That's my own doing. But taking the shower maybe is not negotiable, because even if I wanted to, people around me will not want to be around me because I will stink. So even though I may want to manifest that I want to ascend tomorrow, maybe humanity says, hey Greta, we're not there yet. We'll still have things to do. So my desire is going to be adjusted into what will serve the whole. That's why I always think that every intention should be, if it serves the whole, I would love to manifest that. But when we are talking about manifestation and setting intentions, according to law of attraction, is like attract alike, right? What does that make sense? It makes sense that if I'm a drop of water, I'm going to need an ocean. If I'm a grain of sand, I'm gonna need a beach. If I'm a ray of sun, I'm gonna need a sun. So a drop of water cannot reach to be in a fireplace because it will transform in something else, right? Because it doesn't match frequency. So what happens when we attract things that we said, I don't think I am like that. I'm not saying that it is. If you attract something, a situation because someone was dishonest to you and it was mean perhaps, it doesn't mean that it is because you are a mean person. It means that perhaps you're learning what the opposite of being mean it is. That it could be being selective about with whom you share space, or perhaps it is just letting the people say whatever they want to say because it doesn't have to do with you, it has to do with whatever ingredients they have in its own map. But you can validate yourself for what you think you are, not for what others say of you. So another question it is that I had, okay, the soul. What it is the soul? I know there are many different ways to understand soul, spirit, God, dimensions, and all that it is, but I'm going to explain it in the way that I do understand. God, it's like a blank canvas. It's like all that it is a 0-point field, and then it launch an intention. Maybe the intention is, who am I? That intention is going to be like a rocket of desire, like in law of attraction they said, and the field, the space where that intention is expressing itself is going to be the frequency, the vibration is the intention. That's how I understand it. That intention, it's representing that desire and action. How that action takes place, it will be the divine feminine, it will be the force field where all that can be could be created. So they will complement each other. What happens when that vibration and that frequency don't match in equanimity or harmony or neutrality or balance? We have distortions. And that means that what I think and what I feel, or what I vibrate and what I do, for example, don't match. It could be within me, it could be within others. And when that happens, we have things like, for example, I will be happy one day. If I said I will be happy one day, I'm saying I'm not happy right now. One day I will. So I want to be happy, but right now I'm not. So I want to be happy, but I don't feel happy. So I don't manifest a state of consciousness when I feel happy. But how we match vibration and frequency, so we have a vortex of alignment where all that is in alignment in the synchronicity of universe, V, where I shift my perception to be what I want to become, right? So perhaps the mindset will be a little bit like, I will be happy one day, but I'm thinking because if I want to be happy one day, it's because I don't feel happy right now. But I want to be happy right now. Sometimes it takes time. And perhaps I could look for things that make me happy right now. Well, one thing that I'm happy right now is that I am free to choose the religion or non-religious belief that I want to. I'm happy because I'm alive. I'm happy because I have a place to be. I'm happy because I'm here with each of you. I'm very happy because I'm healthy. I'm very happy because I have a voice, because I have eyes. And this is how you shift to become a little bit of more of what you want. And we do that shift in our personality and in our mindset, then it is when we attract more of what we are looking for, because we are already aligned with that matching frequency, right? Okay. karma. How we deal with karma. There is a series on Netflix that it's called The Other Me, that I think is Turkish, and that calls about constellations. Constellations is a therapy that I have done. I know a little bit and is very efficient. That in constellations, correct me if I'm wrong, the way that I understand it, everything, family constellations, everything that happens to you, it happens because there is a pattern that it was given by your ancestors. So you recreate a scenery where one of your mom, your dad, your uncles, your grandmother, your ex-husband or whatever, and you just observe, and someone represents you and they begin to channel your feelings and describe what happened that needs to be rectified and released in order for the whole family monad to rechange. In Spiritism, they do something alike. I'm not down to Spiritism, but I just know a little bit. They kind of do like a karma ladder according to what the person channeled from the family monad, and through the connections with the elementals and the spirits from Gaia, they move like the whole energy, and then the person don't do nothing and they charge for it. Some of them use like sacrifices or like offerings. There are different ways and different techniques to clear karma. This is what I am learning with my own experience, and I can only talk from my experience. I have seen myself from being unborn and being between the womb of my mom in and out, and I see that when she's pregnant of me, my personality is hers. So everything she feels pain and sorrow and regretment and sadness, I feel it of my own, because my body is hers, and from her body I am growing, from her heart and her oxygen and her blood and hormones. So when I grow up, I gather information from what was in the amniotic liquid amniotic. Well, you guys know the liquid that is inside of the womb. From the information that my father gave in the moment that I was conceived, and the majority came from my mom. Maybe in others it's more from the father, but I think because I grew up in the womb of my mom, I absorb more from her than from my dad. And then when I'm born, I kind of don't have a personality being fixated, but I do have a type of sorrows and pains that I do think there are mine, because I was 9 months my mom, right? So when I'm born with a damaged hip, so my left leg, it wasn't attached to my hip, so I need to have like a device, and I was like 1 year in the hospital. So the doctors will reattach, and like I would grow bone, and then I had like a special shoes with iron things attached to my knees like for 4 years, I think, so I could rectify my legs. In that case, that information was there in my family when I am conceived. So I grew this biological body with this distorted patterns because they were already there, right? But my soul was pure and my spirit was pure, and it still is. But the soul comes through the information that it is in our body. So everything we think, we copy that from the field, from our family, what we see, what we learn for others, and the way we react, it's blended with the information that we have in our Akashic records. That's why perhaps a son from a father that was drug addict could be a drug addict too, or could be not. That depends on how the intention and the vibration, the frequency commingle together, and if we're able to find harmony or disharmony. And just recalibrating. And when those things happen, kids that are born with diseases, or they have cancer and die, or things like that, it is because at the moment that I was conceived, I remember I was reading that information, that higher self ran every possible timeline according to the distortions that my family members already had. They already had those things activated. And the way I was born with that tendency to have this personality, with the body that I developed, the way that I was going to be female or male, or etc., it was agreed because it was the most beneficial for the highest for all, including me and my own mission, and at the same time to be a support for the mission of everyone else, right? So that is what I call purpose. Purpose is what we are here to learn to restore the area of opportunity, that it is connected with other timelines, with other aspects of us, because we are our family. Whether we like it or not, we all came from the same seed. It isn't only the twin flames. Well, in reality, we're all whole, complete. No one is half of another. But sometimes we choose to have a very similar information, so we appear as if we're doppelgangers or doubles, or like halves. It looks like halves because it feels as if you complete, but each of us are a whole. But that's just for this lifetime, which means because every lifetime is happening at the same time, I'm instantly choosing to have those connections active or not. So someone asks, but I have to be responsible for that karma, right? Because I created. Well, yes and not. Because everything that is created for us as a consciousness, it must be rectified if it was distorted, but not necessarily these aspects of you, or in the form that you have been doing. Maybe it could be your angelic self, maybe it could be other aspect of you that can learn through that, and then all together we'll have pieces of the puzzle to restore that distortion that was created. The way I go through that distortion is my own free will. This is what I have understand for my own guidance. But again, there are different systems, there are different heavens, there are different hells. Go with what feels in your intuition to be. For me, feeling that someone else has the blame or the guilt for the wrongs that could happen to me feels a little bit of avoidance, where I can take responsibility into my own happiness, being a sovereign being of my own destiny. It means that, yes, maybe I have 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 alike timelines with what's happened to me. But those lifetimes aren't a burden unless I'm choosing that way. I could choose to go through the life and the way that I feel it's the most fulfilling, the way that I want to, that it will evolve my soul. And at the spirit level, it's all about the information that we gather. That what you go through is our own choosing. But there are many different ways to go through the same destiny. We're going through the same destiny anyway. It's like, if I choose to go to Cancun from where I am, in car, it will be like 3 days driving, perhaps. Saying that it will be safe to drive through Mexico. I could choose to have and go through plane. I could do that. And maybe it will be like 6 or 7 hours in a plane, because I would need to have 2. Or I could drive to the ocean, to the Atlantic, and then go there through a boat. So the way I go there, it's my own free will to decide. That's what I understand. But going to Cancun, that is an unchangeable thing, because it will represent me rectifying or me experience or me go through what I wanted to, that at the same time blend this in the perfect divine order for what everyone else is learning. It's like if I want to set, I want to manifest that we don't have Christmas ever. So the rest of the kids that have Christmas gifts are going to say, no, we want to manifest Christmas. Maybe people hate Christmas, maybe people love it. So the way that it evolves is how it serves the whole, because we are the whole. And the way that I can understand it at the higher self level, if you are owner of 100 companies and one are in bankruptcy and others are giving you a lot of money, perhaps from the ones that are giving you a lot of money, you are going to divide that into the ones are in bankruptcy. But if maybe one company, it goes again and again and it's not working for you, you could sell it, because it will be like making a bad business. So this is how karma will be. You could sell it, you can change it, you could cancel and shift it for something else that you would like to do that will serve the whole. It isn't about being in the comfort zone, because there is no such a thing for the expansion of your soul. We could be challenged, but at the same time feel that we are supported and the life was good. Because that challenge is that new thing that we wonder what will be like. Like, for example, maybe someone that was born blind and went through a surgery the first time that can see is going to be that experience about, I wonder what colors look like. That person have been seeing through its own rest of senses, the rest of its own senses, I think it was said. So I would recommend, if there is any cancellation of contract or cutting course or whatever, to ask and trust your own guidance if you should do that and how I should do that. And the way that I do it is ask my higher self if it's beneficial, if it serves the most, if it's for my highest good, I want to upgrade this contract. Because let's say that my partner and I have many lives together, but in this one is the karmic one. So I cut course completely in our lives, but maybe that will affect other timelines. So do it and always add the little phrase that if it's beneficial, if serves the whole, if it's for my highest good and divine order, then let's go with that. Other thing that it was about, hold on. Okay. Debt. When someone transitions, the way that I understand it is no one dies unless the rest of the family monads approve it, even if it's out of the blue, even if it was killed in a tragedy or something. Nothing happens out of the blue. Everything is part of the divine order and the harmony, because the energy is designed for it. And when out of the blue bad things happen to us, it's sort of a divine intervention, because maybe we are in a path that it doesn't serve us and it's not that beneficial, and then the universe want to save us that suffering, believe it or not. And those things will happen when you suddenly get a divorce, or you got fired, or we had quarantine and then everything changed, or you had a car accident, or you got sick and then you ended in the hospital. So it means that you are changing direction, which is also a good thing. There are different signs that you know that you are changing direction, and that it is you have glimpses in the matrix of time. It happens to me. Sometimes it's like 2 p.m. and then it's like 12 p.m. and I'm like, what's going on? Time, it's sort of circulate in a different pacing than everyone else. Sometimes it feels like a slow motion, sometimes it feels like accelerated. Sometimes I can see myself that is something happening and I can step back and everyone's sort of like got in pause and I can run different unfoldments, and then I make my choice, and that happens when I'm in alignment. What else? You will have deja vus, you will have a lot of dreams, new things will come into your life. Not necessarily some divine intervention has to happen, but maybe you sign up for a new course, maybe you met a new person, maybe you had a new job, things like that. Dreams, dimensions. Okay, someone was asking today in the group about dreams about catastrophes. I have many of those, and not only catastrophes, but experiences that looks good or bad with the persons that you know. And I'm gonna explain what I think, and I'm talking from my own perspective, so you guys go and trust your own wisdom. I'm just realigning it. Okay. Catastrophes. It could be a metaphor for your emotions. It may not be that it will happen. Maybe it's like a fake scenery, so you learn not to be afraid, or you learn wisdom or discernment or something. That could happen with psychic attacks as well. Not necessarily it is that you are attacked, that you guys want to break and you were left alone, and then the entity attacked you and the guy said, oh my god, she was just attacked and you would just ignore her, so bad about it. If we feel attacked, if we had a nightmare, if we got lost in the astral, have a horrible dream, it's because of something must be for the highest good, otherwise we went through that experience. Sometimes I have seen that it's like nothing, and then I enter, and then it's like a hurricane, and then I'm like, going through, and then I kind of open the door, and then it's void, and then I wake up in my bed. So it feels real because we're connected to our body and our body feels, but it's the same illusion we have here and the same illusion we have in our dream time. The only difference is what we think it's real, because illusions are many. We're just choosing the one we are tuning in, dial in, like Netflix or Amazon or HBO or Curiosity Stream or Gaia. Whatever you are signing for, that's gonna be what you're gonna watch. But it doesn't mean the other streamings stop. They will be there. All of those timelines when they're say reptilians are gonna come and they're a benevolent influence, they are being run, but not in my universe. I'm not signing up for those stories, but other people are. And you can observe a lot of that on Facebook, a lot of that on YouTube. But which illusion you purchase is your own free will. Timelines are like subways in New York. Inside they all look the same, but they all have different directions. And from changing from one to another, it feels like the same. But it isn't, because it has a shift in direction. That can happen any number of times. Sometimes it's not perceivable or noticeable, sometimes it is. dreams are metaphoric guidance for us. It's a sign that your third eye open. Pay attention to what you feel, and what do you think it represents. Don't get entangled on the details because it's a metaphoric guidance. It may not happen the way you want. I know in my dreams it's like, oh, Arcturians, hey, what are you doing right now? Where do you want to go? And then I said, oh, okay, and then I fell asleep. I don't have a cell phone for the Arcturians, but it's the way that my mind put it together, right? So it's a metaphor because maybe I don't have in this ego personality, the conscious don't understand how I can connect to Arcturians. You can have premonitions that is kind of like a warning, so you get prepared for something that may happen. But if you were warned, it may not happen because you will take action for it, right? Lots of things happen in dream time. Okay, let me ask, what do I need to share about it? Just after your dream, try to sink it within and then ask yourself, what do you need to learn from this? And if you don't get your answers, then just leave it like that. Know that you know what you need to do, what you don't need to know. It will come to you whenever is the right time. We get so fixated on the details about things that are not linear. I mean, who can understand the infinite? Because we're not infinite. It wouldn't be logical that I will have the infinite, the mind of the infinity, when I have a timeline and a period to live as Gretel. So just know that whatever you know, it's fine for you, and whatever you don't know, then you will know whenever it is time. But trust that it isn't our right to be policing the universe about what will or not will happen, or waking up looking for bad things that may happen. Our right, for my own personal experience, it is to think that all is well, that I'm eternal anyway. If it doesn't happen in this life, it will happen in another one, so be it. I will just enjoy and the best when I can, doing my enough during this lifetime, and trusting that God knows. Because not trusting that all is well, that God knows, is thinking that creation made mistakes. And there are no mistakes. I was the other day, I just wonder, because I watch, when I can, documentaries with my kids, or our teenagers, right? So I said, let's go for something scientific. And then I said, I want to know why cockroaches and flies exist. Because they're nasty, disgusting. Their reason to exist, it must be so they could annoy humans, right? In my ignorance. So we figure out that if insects wouldn't exist, life will vanish from the planet in, I think, 5 years, the scientific documentary said, because they ate garbage and they accelerate things like plastic and chemical stuff, because they have very short life, to be transmuted in the best way against all the disasters that humans do against the planet. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense that we will have animals like that. Like, for example, if we don't have frogs in the gardens, then frogs wouldn't be able to eat the flies and the crickets maybe, and then flowers will be all eaten and we wouldn't appreciate them. So in nature, everything is in harmony and everything has a reason to be. If no one will take trees, or if forests wouldn't burn, maybe it will be a lot of trees and then it wouldn't be space for us. That's why in nature everything has a cycle and goes in order that serves the whole. we are the ones that if we would disappear, it was saying in documentary, if human will just died, then in 5 years, every animal and plant and all the elements of Gaia will flourish. Not in a way that some of them are in the edge of being extinct. So we are the ones that are not in alignment, but it is because we think, and we think we know best in creation. So that's a little bit of scientific fact. Another question, let me see. Okay, protection. I call in the other video a little bit about protection. For me, when I feel bad about something, when I feel triggered because of someone or something, I stay with my trigger a little bit, at least like an afternoon or a few hours or a day, until I really make peace with all the voices that are engaging with that trigger. Is it something says to me that I'm wrong and I hate it? If that happened, I'm gonna get pissed off. But then I'll be thinking, well, I'll making the reasoning. Well, Gretel, you don't know anything, and you can still have a beginner's mind and be open to validate someone else's opinions, so you can keep being student and keep being open for the universe to show you new ways for being that perhaps will serve you the most. So after I get upset or whatever that I'm feeling, whatever trigger, I'm gonna find a way to shift that into the part when in the narrative of my story, I'm still the protagonist. I still like it, and the majority of the time feels good. There are going to be things in life that are going to be out of my hands because they depend on someone else's choices, and that's fine. It's not my right, not even to my kids. My kids, they are with me temporarily, but they have its own higher self, its own God, and its own purposes and missions to do. Missions to me is what we do good, what's easy for us, and this is something that I would love for you to think about it. And I'm gonna do a little bit of the dynamic at the end of this video. With my kids, I don't tell him, when I woke up, I stopped telling them what to think and what to do. I ask them a lot of questions though. And I'm gonna say something. I'm gonna tell a little bit story about something that happened in mid-school last year. I pick up my kids from school, and then my son, who always is next to me, says, "Mom, something happened today in chemistry. Pedro bite the leg of the teacher of chemistry," and we all laugh about it. And the teacher says, "Pedro, what do you think my husband will think of?" And she laughed about it, and then the teacher says, "If it wouldn't be you, Pedro, I will file a report with the principal." And I freak out inside because I thought, if Pedro bite a teacher in the leg, it's kind of sexual. It's not the same that if he bite it in the arm, right? Maybe I thought all of those things in 1 second. Maybe he wanted to do something stupid so kids will laugh and put her in a wrong place, in a wrong position. But according to my principles and morals, that is kind of like a sexual boundary that shouldn't be trespassed between a teenager, because they all have 14, 15, and a teacher. If that will be a male teacher that bite the lack of a student, that will be sexual assault. If the teacher will bite the leg, I mean, the inner leg of a student, it will be a sexual assault too. But in this case, a male student from 15 did it to the teacher that is a feminine. She had a skirt and he bit the inner part of her leg. Isn't it the same thing? Because she's an adult, he is a kid. That thing should be reported. And she shouldn't be there, and neither Pedro, right? But I wanted to know what my son thinks. And I wanted him to reflect where I'm still around. So whenever him needs to make all of those choices about what do I do? Do I report it? Do I keep it quiet? Do I laugh about it? Do I think it's nothing? He can define his own morals and ethic and principles, if that it is how in English it is said. So I said to my son, I freaking thought that I was like, but I remained calm, and then I say to my son, like in the next second after, and why do you think that happened? And then he said, well, I think he just wanted to make fun of the teacher. And then I kept asking questions. And what did the teacher said? Was Pedro reported? What do you guys all think about it? What do you do? What Pedro did? Whatever. And then at the end, nothing happened, right? And then I asked him, do you think this is the right thing to happen in a school without a consequence? And then my son says, like, well, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like a big deal. And then I asked him, what if the teacher bites your leg? Would you want that to happen? No, Mom, what do you think about it? Whatever. And then I start putting him certain scenarios. What if that happened to your sister? What if that happens to your mom? And then he realized it wasn't like a good thing to happen. And then I said, look, there are good things. There are things that appear to be good that in reality shouldn't happen. And there are things that appear to be bad, but there are right ways to be. And when things happen and we avoid to take responsibility and put order at it, we I don't know if that's comply, but we are like the alibi of whoever is guilty, because in Spanish we said, is the same killer the one who killed the cow than the one who grabbed the cow so the other kill it, right? It sounds better in Spanish. But if you are there in the murder and you didn't do anything and you said, well, I didn't do anything, but you didn't say anything, but you didn't react, but you didn't correct it, so it's assumed it's okay for you that thing to happen. And this is kind of like the karma and things we do. Yes, we clear that at the energy level, but if those things are not rectified in physical form, they will happen again and again and again until order it's done in the rightful way for the whole. Because disorder creates distortion. In order, we align things without being exaggerated in control and extra perfection into harmony. So I asked my son, do you want to hear what I think about it? And then he said yes. And then I told him, look, if the chemistry teacher would report Pedro instantly, I will assume that it wasn't her fault and she put order so he would be reported, and then it wouldn't happen for anyone, because that's not giving a proof for everyone to bite each other legs when in a school when it shouldn't happen. But she didn't report it, and because she didn't report it, that's, I think, her fault. I understand that Pedro is a teenager and he doesn't know how to put boundaries. And we go again into what we were talking at the beginning about the boundaries and about how we define where we are and in which ride of life we want to experience and how we want to go through life. And then I reported the teacher because I thought it wasn't right. I taught to my kids about boundaries and whom should be allowed to touch your body and whom shouldn't, and why and what to do in cases like that. We had the talk, and then we told my kids to tell me if any of that will happen again, and then we move on. The next day, they did kind of like a conference to speak about what happened. They explained it in different ways. It ain't matter, but what it matters is where we choose to stand, in which side of life. And in that part that we choose to stand, with divine intelligence and emotional intelligence and being acknowledgeable and aware about my take on it, we could act and to have a better life and the decks that tomorrow there will be a better and a better and a better and a better. For my kids, that situation won't need to happen again because they will need what to do to avoid situations like that, right? For me, I am learning with my kids in situations like that, not to tell them what to do, but to give them the chance to figure out how to get its own solutions. If I'm not there, what they're going to do if they don't know how to resolve its own problems. That's why sometimes not fixing someone or something that quickly, we give them the opportunity to find the answer by themselves. The best guide, I think, is the one who guides you so you guide yourself. That's why I try to do courses. So I share whatever I know and I grow with each and every one of you. I don't want to tell you what to do. I want you guys and I to keep learning, connecting, and growing. So the majority of the time, we know in which part of life we want to stand up strongly and fiercely with knowledge about maybe the possible consequences and what it is our take on it, so we made it work in the way that feels right. And if you are not in alignment to do that, the more wiseful thing it is to step back and lean on into trusting the universe will figure out how to bring balance, because energy is designed for it. Something will happen, something will arise. It's like if you throw dust and then the dust is all over the place. Then when the dust settles, we will see with clarity. So let's do a little bit of a dynamic to reflect within and listen to ourselves, listen to our soul, and to discover. I'm gonna drink water. What purposes I have right now, and what I want you guys to know it is to go within. We're just going to breathe in and out, in and out, in and out, and try to listen to your own breathing. And just imagine that you can see the air coming inside of you and out. And if you know how to do Reiki, your healing has been activated already. Or we can activate it right now. Imagine that when you breathe, the light will go throughout your hands, and your hands will be streaming light that you will breathe that again. And as you breathe that into your nose, it will go out into your mouth. And do it slowly and gently with awareness. And now breathe into your crown. And let it sink into your mind. And we're going to ask your higher self to enter in, whoever it is, in the highest and best to come through. Your guides, your angels, your ascended masters, your soul family, whoever can come to assist you today in the rightful way, in divine order, and in the highest of all. And as you breathe in, just stay present into your mind and into what you are thinking right now. Try to expand the light. Imagine you can see the light that comes through your forehead, your ears, your crown. It enters your third eye. Cleanse your eyes, your ears, your cheeks, your mouth, your nose, your jaw. And then expand it into every hair, your neck, your shoulders. Drop your shoulders from your neck, relax. Expand your lungs, your heart, your chest. Let the energy from your hands to be increased. Deepen yourself into the frequency of love, knowing that you are surrounded by beings of light. They're assisting you and supporting you in every single moment that you connect. So now choose to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And have a sense of expansion in your torso, your upper back, your lower back, your hips, your abdomen, your belly, your pelvis, your hips. And just relax and just be present with your thinking. Expand your legs, your knees, bring into your calves, your ankles, your toes, and then all the way up, up, up to your root, your sacral, your plexus, your heart, your throat, your third eye, your crown, and then all the way up, up, up. Find your place through the great central sun, the greater central sun. Finding the center of the universe, reaching out to the source. And then we're going to do an invocation for source to calm your higher self, your spirit, your soul. And whoever codes of lights, definitions, upgrades in your DNA, your healing, your mindset, downloading the emotional intelligence, and just visualize as if a ball full of codes of light comes all the way down, down, down. As it does, it enters your crown and expands. It enters your third eye and expands. Go down to your throat and expand. It will enter your heart and expand. And you go deeper and deeper and deeper. It will connect you to your higher heart. And then you'll go down and expand. Your solar plexus, your sacral chakra, your root, and then go all the way down like rivers of light running through you. In every cell, and every organ, in every bone, in every part of you. We're imagining imagining that we are stepping in or sitting in or laying down in a compass. In that compass, you're going to place the north, the south, the east, the west. In the north, you will place the element of earth. In the south, the element of water. In the east, the element of air. And in the west, the element of fire. Try to breathe the element of earth, fire, air, and water. And absorb it to your feet. Ki ava te shke te eseko te aki ashka, and let it go in all directions. From above to below, from the left to the right, in and out. Out through in, front to the back, and imagine, create a sensation that every part of you has a new writing, a new narrative from your timeline. You're going to imagine that you have two envelopes. The one that is in your right hand is gonna represent your purpose. Is going to represent what you're here to learn, to create a new pattern, to present. You will have just one word. You imagine that you can read that. And you trust what you read, what you imagine. And now you put your attention inwards. And now you open the envelope from your left hand, the one that has your mission. What you are here to give, to share. What is your magic, your authenticity? And you place those in your hands, and you put them in your heart. And you ask for rectification for every pattern, every belief, every emotion, every part of your body, biological, your mental body, your emotional body, your shadow, your light, your soul, your spirit, all aspects of you across timelines, relationship with collective, with higher self, with ties, with spirituality, with source, with all that it is, all that you have been, and all that you are yet to become. Bienvenido, te ashna, ti eseko, ba iki ashna. Now you're going to imagine that you can see 5 cards in front of you. Just imagine it. Just imagine that you see. Just imagine that you know. That information that is going to be revealed for you is what is the highest and best right now for you to know. And every time you come back to this transmission, you will receive a different outcome. So the first card has a symbol and a word, and it represents why you are here today. You read that, you observe, you integrate, you acknowledge. Now the card fades away. The next card, it is what you are not seeing. Kiva, the blind spot. You understand, you observe it, you acknowledge without judgment. You receive your own guidance. The third card represents the elements to clear, to remove what is against you. But this is things that you do. Things that you do that you sabotage your own. The fourth card, it is what it is on your favor, what is supporting you that you are not fully aware of, but what's been rightfully accomplished for you is for you to take on. Ki ete kova te eki ashkata sara kodavatri akiara kodibari ashne ki eseki atabaki ashna. The next card and the last one, it is the next step. You observe, you acknowledge, you integrate your own guidance. Kite kokova te eki este kieva te eki ete koko teria sara tarayana rakore vari eti yashkete kosova. Hayaya kite ki ketova kete sekori tiri kianare kashka. Now, you will receive a gift. This holographic code or a pattern or a tool that is going to be placed in whatever chakra that feels the most weak right now. You may receive more than one. And now with that, try to, we're going to ask for the complete rectification for the highest and best and in divine order for all, for whatever we receive. We're going to make a commitment to step into that next step for the highest outcome for all. It is done, it is done, it is done. Now try to move your hands, your body a little bit. Ground if that is needed. I hope that whatever you receive was valuable to you. Any other question that you have, feel guided to reach out, but always trust your own intuition. For whatever information you listen, oh my god, my throat. Receive my gift in my throat. Okay, whatever you receive that feels good for you, take it and disregard the rest. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful rest of your day.